It's November 28th, and it's been announced that Kobolds and Catacombs is coming out December 7th. Everyone gets 3 card packs and a random legendary weapon for free. 5 cards revealed today, so let's get into them. First up is Unstable Evolution, 1 mana epic shaman spell that reads, transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. Repeatable this turn. And repeatable means that when you cast Unstable Evolution, it goes back into your hand, and you can cast it again for that 1 mana as many times as you want that turn. So on turn 10, you could evolve a Tiny Fin on your board all the way up to a Deathwing. Well, if you don't like Evolve Shaman, this may be a bad card for you. Personally, I like the deck, and Unstable Evolution seems pretty good, but I don't think it's really anything to be too afraid of, unless of course they evolve one of their minions into Sorcerer's Apprentice or Radiant Elemental. That could get out of hand pretty quickly. The card's a lot like Shaman's Death Knight hero power in that it targets a single minion, and it's kind of like a way to heal minions by evolving them 1 more, but it's also used to reroll bad evolved minions to gain more value on the board. This card is way better than the hero power as it should be, because for the same amount of mana you can evolve twice, and it can be more than just 1 target. I think looking at this card you might be a little bit worried that your opponent could just reroll minions until they get a board of Devil Sores, but the spell Evolve is also only just 1 mana, and it evolves your entire board. So how much do you really have to spend using Unstable Evolution to get enough value? 3, 4 mana? It's obviously dependent on what minions you roll, but most often this spell isn't just going to be a 1 mana spell, it's going to be a lot more. Now, have Evolve Shamans ever really had a problem with too much Evolve? No. But if you don't have a lot of minions on the board, or if you have minions you can't evolve anymore, you might not get too much value from this card. Unstable Evolution is definitely going to be a staple in Evolve Shaman. The turns you play this card are going to be very important to the outcome of the game, and I'm excited to see how people play this card and play against it. Next up is Evasion, 2 mana epic rogue secret. After your hero takes damage, become immune this turn. So this is the last rogue secret, and well, it's Ice Block. Not really, but kind of. The big difference is Ice Block can be played anytime, and it's only activated when your enemy would have killed you with lethal damage. Evasion goes off whenever your hero takes damage, so you have to time when playing this card. This is a brilliantly designed card in my opinion. When playing the secret, you have to make sure your health is high enough that an enemy minion or spell won't be able to kill you in 1 hit, because your hero is immune after taking the first hit of damage. So on 1 HP, the secret doesn't really work. But unlike Ice Block, the card isn't restricted to preventing you from dying on a turn. It could instead save you a bunch of health when your opponent has a board full of minions. In this situation, Evasion is better because you'll take the first hit, but instead of being dropped to 5 health, you stay at the 24 health and out of range of chip damage that would pop Ice Blocks for little cost. Of course, Evasion isn't as good as Ice Block. It's 1 less mana, and Ice Block was too good anyways. This card has the potential to be as good and even better in some situations, but it requires the user to think more about the resources their opponent has and what they might do with them. On the other side, playing against this card, you might end up missing lethal if you don't attack with your biggest minion first, but then when you do attack with your biggest minion, the secret might end up being Sudden Betrayal, and now you missed lethal. I think Evasion might be the secret a more controlling rogue can play as a form of heal and buy them a turn. I still don't know how I like only having 3 secrets in rogue, because I don't think it's going to be much of a secret if only 1 of them is used. But I love the design of Evasion, and when Ice Block goes into the Hall of Fame, maybe this card can continue its legacy. Goddamn rogue, stealing all the other classes' secrets. Next is Leyline Manipulator, 4 mana 4/5 rare mage elemental with the battle cry. If you're holding any cards that didn't start in your deck, reduce their cost by 2. Alright, rogue takes Ice Block and mage gets Ethereal Peddler. Not a good trade in my opinion. But Leyline might actually be able to synergize with all the discovery mechanics in Mage, and of course open the Waygate. Quest Mage actually has the goal in mind to discover spells that weren't in their deck, and they actually have a lot of good tools to get them. Plus, even the 4 mana 4/5 stats is a lot more playable than a 5 mana 5/6. It's going to be hard fitting this card into anything besides Quest Mage. Maybe it's a one-of, just a combo card to have in your hand once you've acquired a few Discover cards, so you can then play them on the cheap, create a big board swing in your favor, and work towards completing your quest. Next up is Skull of Minari, 5 mana 0/3 Warlock weapon. At the start of your turn, summon a demon from your hand. Ooh, I've been waiting for the Warlock weapon. And this is an interesting card to come up with. It's pretty deck specific, and that deck is Demon Warlock. Whether a non-duplicate Cruel or just a deck filled with demons, this weapon needs a lot of demons in the deck for it to work. And there are a lot of demons, especially ones with harming battlecry effects, and that's why Cruel, a card that can summon demons from your hand, is able to get around bad battlecries and get nicely stated demons on the board. Skull of Minari can also do just that, and for more than just 1 turn as long as you have it equipped. Still, I don't think it's really that good of a card. You summon the demon at the start of your turn, so you have limited control over what demon you play, and you also spend 5 mana in a turn to hopefully have a weapon still be around the next turn to then finally summon a demon from your hand. It's slow, it's random, it's hard to consistently draw a legendary from your deck, and I think it will end up being a fringe card in some demon and control warlock decks. If it doesn't really see competitive play and weapon removal isn't rampant, I think a deck just full of negative Battlecry Demons and Skull of Minari could be a fun deck to play at rank 20. And last up is Geo Sculptor Yip. 8 mana for 8 warrior legendary that reads, at the end of your turn summon a random minion with a cost equal to your armor, up to 10. Wow, I've got to hand it to Blizzard again. This is a really creative card design. The card's like Forbidden Shaping, but instead of mana, the minion is based off of your armor. How crazy would this card have been when Control Warrior was top tier? It would have been insane. It's a great concept to have a value like armor, which is usually just the more the better, and make it extra valuable by having it represent a summoned minion. Don't get me wrong, most of the time if you get a 10 mana minion, it's going to be pretty decent, but if you're at 9 armor, you're not going to ask yourself whether or not to hero power before the end of the turn. It's a great way to encourage armor building, and it also lets your opponent interject and possibly deplete your armor, making this card spawn weaker minions. Unfortunately, it's a tough minion to fit in. There are the Dead Man's Hand armor gaining fatigue combo decks, which are pretty insane, but I don't know how much an 8 cost minion is going to help in a deck that just wants to win by fatigue. I think it's probably the most likely deck to slot this card in, just to have some fun at the end of the game, but there's not really a good enough Control Warrior all about gaining armor in place right now for this card to work. Well, that's all for today. There's a playlist if you missed any of the other cards, and I also have another series where I look at custom fan-made Hearthstone cards. I just released a video on that. You can check it out here. And if you want to hear my opinion as more cards come out for Kobolds and Catacombs, feel free to subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow as more cards are revealed, but until then, ta-ta!